You're tuned in to RBLR, the home of Tampa Bay's Reveler Sports.
4 seconds left. In front. Happy moment. The Tampa Bay Lightning have won the first Stanley Cup. And the Tampa Bay Lightning have won the Stanley Cup. Lightning strikes twice. The Tampa Bay Lightning win their second straight Stanley Cup.
Welcome in to RBLR Lightning here at RBLR Sports. My name is Eureka Wheeler, and I am in the chair because we have an amazing guest that we're going to get to know someone from a different perspective. You know, we usually talk about the news and notes and the X's and O's per se, but today we're going to get into kind of more of the fan perspective and what it means about fan culture. To help me do that, before we introduce our special guest, let me introduce always the second man on our line. That is Mr. Matt Gannon. What's up, buddy?
Well, I'm glad to be back. I feel like we've had quite of a long hiatus here, so
Yeah.
Nice to get back into the groove of things.
Yeah, the break is over, and I think we are full speed ahead. Even though it's off season, we do not take we take as little time off as possible. So, special treat for you guys out there. We have brought on Matt Shapiro. You probably know him better as 1771 Designs and all of the awesome shirts that he does. Matt, how are you doing today, buddy?
Hey, I'm outstanding. I think it's 75 or less games for hockey. You know, the baseball is coming towards the end, and football's about to start. What could be better?
Yeah, well, and what better time to be? I don't think there's ever been a better time to be a Tampa Bay sports fan. And when you look at, the Bucks obviously won a Super Bowl. The Lightning, which we cover mostly here on this show, win almost three straight Eastern Conference championships. I mean, even the Rowdies are winning hardware.
Yeah.
The Rays are still that window. We're hoping they can bounce back this year after, the litany of injuries and things they're going to. But I think it's important to keep this time frame in mind when you think about a shirt you've done before, which is like, I was a fan, when we sucked or something like that. And that's kind of what I wanted to start with is, Matt, like, this has to be a good run, but how do you contrast today's environment with the misery runs we've had in the past?
I don't know how to even describe it. I was born and raised here, so I'm 33, so I grew up when the Rays were born, and they were terrible. The Bucks, we had a little blip in 98 to 02, but other than that, we were struggling. The Lightning, no one really cared about hockey in the mid to late 90s, early 2000s, other than 04. But other than little glimpses, we've never had a sustained run. So the past 5-6 years have been absolutely incredible. I've enjoyed the ride. I know a lot of fans have either moved to there and become fans, so I'm not sure how many really know how bad it really was. But I know there's a core of us who are loving every moment of it because we remember when it just not too long ago how bad it truly was to be a Tampa Bay sports fan.
And my next question would probably be like, what was the turning point? Back from the old days into today. Like, what was the?
I think I think for the at least for the Lightning, it was we were struggling, and then we finally got good ownership. And when Jeff Vinik took over the team, and he brought in all the key people to get the farm system set up, get minor leagues set up, and kind of get a core and a foundation. And I've been a season ticket holder since 2010, and it was the first year that Vinik bought the team. And you could really see that he cared about the fans, and it genuinely made you feel good to be a Lightning fan. And I think from that moment on, you could see how much he cared about the fans when then he started investing in the team and bringing the players in and drafting the players. And suddenly we had a hockey team, and it was something to be proud of. And I think the players, through Vinik became, more proud to be a Lightning player as opposed to just to come here to play and get paid. And I think that was the turning point for at least the Lightning was that 2011 season. Really, we started playing, and the next couple of years we kind of made the playoffs and missed the playoffs, and finally the young guys definitely grew into the role of being bona fide starters and on the cusp of being kind of some of the all-time great Lightning players.
Yeah, well, take us through, because for every Kucherov and Stamkos and Vasilevsky, there were the Druins and the Conackers and the guys that we thought were going to be really, really good. Whether they were young guns that we thought were going to grow into those roles, but just didn't quite do that. You don't have to specifically talk about those guys, but basically before the Vinnick times or before the turnaround, like what was there's a lot of people that don't know what it was like. They only know this winning atmosphere now.
Yeah, you would go to games and we would I always remember the fans who were there just to get drunk. They could care less what really happened on the ice. No one knew what a blue line was. No one knew what the crease was. If you were to ask any of the fans what is too many men on the ice or what is boarding, none of them could tell you. And you would go to games, and it would be a home game for the away team, especially when the original 6 teams would come, or any of the Canadian teams that would come down. It would suddenly it was 5% Lightning, 95% any other team, and it was honestly miserable to go to games. It wasn't a pleasant atmosphere, and same with the Rays. Up until 2008, it was 95% Red Sox, Yankees, Blue Jays, Baltimore, Detroit fans would show up, and it would be embarrassing. Whether it's away fans just out screaming us or just watching the product on the field as well. It was tough, but they're my team. They're my hometown team, and I will always stick with them through thick and thin. And it's been really fun to finally be able to walk around other places wearing my Tampa Bay gear, and people, either acknowledge or are envious, as opposed to making fun and kind of being embarrassed to wear the shirts.
So, I've got kind of a concrete moment where I knew I was a fan of the Lightning. Again, in terms of, recency, it was definitely recent for me, but calling yourself a true Florida native, was there a moment or something, a reason that you became a fan of the Lightning or just hockey in general? Was there something that just made you say, I should probably give this a try, something like that?
I went to one game in person when I was probably 16 or 17, and I just got bit by the bug. There's nothing like a hockey game in person. And until you go and experience it live, you don't understand the speed, you don't understand the size. And I've grown up playing soccer my entire life, so there were a lot of similarities between soccer and hockey, where just the play development and the ball movement is similar to the puck movement in soccer. And it was after that game, I had to buy another ticket. And fortunately, at the time, it was very easy and very reasonably priced to go to Lightning games, and you could go and you wouldn't have to. You never have to worry about, can I go tomorrow? It was just, I'm going to go to a game tomorrow, and there's tickets for me. So it was easy to become a fan back then, because there weren't any waiting lists or sellouts, and it was one game after another, and next thing you knew, I was hooked, and I just haven't stopped since then.
Well, going more into the positivity and the things that really drew you in, were there any, even when you were 16 or in your 20s or something like that, were there specific players you latched onto and was like, that's my guy? Maybe not the superstars, but that's my dude. To me, I think any of the grinders or the players that aren't shiny or aren't stars and don't have all the endorsements, I think I'm drawn more to them. Yanni Gourde in particular is probably one of my all-time favorite Lightning players. PC Labrie from back in the day, Gudas, even though he was only with us for a few years. It was any of the players just got down and dirty in the corners and would sacrifice, and you could tell that they absolutely loved the game, and they knew they didn't have the skill set, but they just had the work ethic. And just watching them play, anyone who's going to jump in front of a frozen piece of rubber going 105 miles an hour is someone I have the utmost respect for, because
I don't think I would. Maybe it's just instinctual, but watching some of these guys, I go, good Lord, like what goes through your mind other than this is going to hurt and, hopefully I stop the puck. But other than that, if you're willing to do that, how can you not root for a guy like that?
I started following this team back in 2016-17 season. So again, fairly recent. I had already been kind of accustomed to I wouldn't call it a winning culture, but a successful team at this point. Again, I kind of hate to bring it back to the negative side of things, but I assume you were probably were you following this team? I'm going to isolate specifically the 04 run, of course, but the promising run we had in the 02-03 season where I believe we lost to the Devils in the conference finals. Were you following for that?
Yeah. I went to, so I start, it was the thing to do because the Lightning were winning and they were in the playoffs. So I want to say I was 13 when that was going on. And I remember just watching it and being, how cool it is that, the Lightning are being talked about on the national stage. So that was exciting. And then when we won the Cup in 04, I was at the game. It was a Game 7, and it was one of the loudest arenas, even to this day, that I have ever been in. And it was just the excitement in the stands. It was incredible. Just seeing the fans come together, and everyone was cheering together, everyone was screaming together. I even remember back then, and I can picture everything about that game, where just how I could barely hear anything. And it was my buddy and I and his dad that went. And we were screaming. I didn't really know what I was screaming for. I didn't know exactly what I was rooting for, but I knew that my team was winning, and I was excited, and everyone around me was excited. And that's kind of when I learned how to heckle away fans. So I was I got taught at a young age by a group of drunk college kids in front of me how to heckle. So that was a very fun moment for me, and I've continued it to these days, and I've taught the next generation how to properly heckle the Boston and the Philly and the Canadian fans. So, I think that's the coolest thing about sports is no one really knows each other at an arena, but you have the same shirt on and you have the same hopes and the same goals that you just immediately, there's a bond between you that, who cares who you are? We're all going to hug and we're all going to high five and we're all going to cheer together for the same team.
Let's turn to more recent history. We unfortunately didn't get the three-peat, but it was a valiant effort in one of the greatest Stanley Cup finals in history. But what do you think, Matt, has been the most impressive over the 3 seasons of the Tampa Bay run? Shapiro.
I think I think the most impressive part has been how humble this team has been. How down to earth and kind of, it would be easy. I know as fans, we got a little cocky and a little arrogant, I think. And we just expected, we were going to win and, we were going to kind of rub it in everyone's faces. But I think how humble, especially the leadership core, how even keel Stamkos has been throughout the whole run. I think I've gained so much respect for him as a person and as a captain. Just watching how he has led the team when, we did have an incredible team for the first 2 runs, and then going into this past season, how he kept everyone, just level-headed, and when times got tough, he definitely sounds like he brought them up, and when times were good, he allowed everyone to celebrate, but he didn't let them get too far ahead of themselves. And it's just been a fun run, just watching the team kind of grow and stay even keeled.
I appreciate your your endorsement of Stamkos. I feel like somehow over the last couple of years he's kind of become underrated, not only as a player but as a captain as well. To me, I can't see him anywhere other than a blue Bolt sweater. But could you see him, staying with this team, not only just, for his playing career, but, post-career as well? To me, he emanates like he could be like a great head coach, head coach or general manager, because again, he just over the last, I'm going to say 4 to 5 years, he's had the C since when, 2015 or so? No, it's got to be earlier
15,
than
yeah,
that.
when Marty
Is it 15?
when Marty left. So I think it was 15. I think is when Marty went to, whenever Marty went to New York. I think it was a 15 season.
Yeah, again, so this isn't really so much more of a question, but just more of a commendation for Stamkos. I'm appreciating you recognizing the fact that he has sort of taken this a couple of steps into this leadership role, especially in his absence in that 2020 finals in the bubble.
Yeah.
He was there the entire way. He was still, despite not being on the ice, being a leader. Again, I just I feel like a lot of people have just kind of not given up on him, but just not giving him the credit that I would say he deserves, especially after a spectacular season from him, regular season and playoffs combined.
Yeah, Stamkos, he's a unique and interesting player because he started off so hot, and then he had the nasty injury and up in Boston when he broke his leg, and then that kind of slowed him down, I think. And I think he just kind of kept trying to force it back, and I think he's finally healthy now. And just watching him progress off the ice, just through interviews and through what the insiders are saying, it's been quite the journey. And I think he's grown into his role of embracing being the face of the Lightning and also embracing being the leader. I could definitely see him continuing on with the team, kind of in like the Andrechuk role where he helps advise, and he seems to know how to motivate and connect with the players. So I definitely see that he could become a front office guy. But at the same time, I could also just see him, enjoying the run, retiring, and he's earned every right to just go in and, he wore the Bolt for so many years, and he made us all proud. So I can see him going either direction. And, I was probably one of the bigger critics of him, probably the 17, 18, 19 seasons, just, playoff times would come and you'd always wonder where 91 was. And then the past 2 seasons, he shut me up and put me in my place. And I've grown so appreciative, and the respect I've gained for him has been just incredible. Just hearing all the off the ice things that he's had to go through as well.
When it's a great time because he's still playing. I mean, I don't know how much longer he'll be playing, but there's still a really good core of this Lightning team. So my question to you, Mr. Shapiro, is how long do you think this window can stay open? I mean, you have a shirt, I love it, says "Who says we're done? Complete the dynasty," and a lot of people are feeling the same way.
Yeah, my hope is that the window stays open longer than the next 2-3 years. I'm also being realistic that the amount of hockey that everyone has played the past 4 or 5 seasons has been, it's I don't know the exact number, but it's a lot. And if I can get, as a fan, another 2-3 years out of this core, that'd be incredible. The salary cap is what the salary cap is. So, we also have to be realistic that unless it suddenly balloons, these we're going to lose players like we did with Palat. It's just the fact that the players have earned these contracts and they deserve to get paid what they're going to get paid. And to win the past couple of years, we've had to give up so much prospect, draft-wise and prospect-wise, that I'm enjoying the run, but I'm also realistic that I think the next 2-3 years are, the window's going to slowly squeak shut. Part of me wants it to slam shut, so we're not kind of like the Red Wings, where we're sure you make the playoffs for 20 years, but if you get bounced in the second round, is there really a point? Part of me says, let's make the playoffs for the next 20 years so we can enjoy it and, continue to grow hockey in the area.
Yeah, like I'm watching what Chicago's doing right now. It seemed like they went from, from cup greatness to absolute bottom feeders. It's taken longer than it really has, felt like. They're just getting rid of every single person. I can understand what you mean by saying just shutting the door, ripping the Band-Aid off, but at the same time, you also don't want to be Pittsburgh, where they're still a great team. I'm not gonna beat around the bush or anything. They're still a great team, but yeah, it's just been first round for the last 5 years or so, and just kind of clinging on to what has been, what maybe we can still squeak one out, but just the well, I'm not gonna say lack of confidence, but they're trying to relive the glory days. So I can understand where you're coming from. Um, Aside from that, this offseason, it's been pretty up and down for the Lightning. I'd say it's been one of the busier ones in the last 5 years or so. Are you happy with the, um, can't even really call them acquisitions? Everybody's kind of upset about the McDonough trade, but, business is business. The flat cap it is what it is. But are you happy? Are you satisfied with what the Lightning have done this offseason? Do you still think that we can be as good of a team still competing for a Stanley Cup this coming season? Strictly just this season. I'm not going to look anything past that.
Yeah. Yeah, as from a fan standpoint, how can you be upset with what, JBB has done? He's brought in some key elements, key players. Yes, we lost McDonough, but it's time for Sergachev to take the next step. He is paid as a number one. It's time for him to get number one minutes, and it's time for him to play as a number one. He's young. He's still young, and he's only going to get better. And if I had to choose between McDonough for 1 or 2 years or Sergachev for 8 years, how can you say no to the potential that Sergachev has? Same with Chernak. It's time for him to, I think he's one of the most solid defensive defensemen we have on the team, and he may not put up the flashy numbers, but he does what you need him to do. And if he needs to punch somebody, he'll punch somebody, or if he needs to take the body, he'll take the body. So yes, I'm sad we lost McDonough, but I'm ecstatic we got Sergachev and Chernak locked up. And same with Cirelli, who doesn't get any credit for what he does. His numbers aren't sexy, but he does everything that you need him to do. He's another one of those players that I just love to root for. He's kind of like Yanni, where he'll go in the corner, he'll get scrappy, he'll piss you off, and he'll get up in your face and toe the line. And I think that I don't think enough players or enough fans appreciate the player that he is and how crucial he is to the team. So yeah, I'm really optimistic, and as long as Vazzy's in net, how can you bet against this team?
I love it, man. And Matt, you said a great thing earlier about bringing people together, a community, and we're trying to build part of that community on our social media. We are at RBLR Sports on all forms of social media. So to everybody listening, if this is the first time you're listening, just drop a follow. It's the easiest way to support us and everything we do, all the content. We talk every week about the Bucks and the Rays and the Lightning and the Rowdies and everything in between. It's absolutely free, and it's the best way that you could help us. But we do. So, Matt, we actually do sell some T-shirts from time to time. I'm not going to do the sales pitch today because I'm more interested in talking about your shirts. We were talking off air right before we got on about, it's one thing to be a fan, but for some of us that want to take that next step and, create things and add to the experience of being a fan, what was the impetus for that? How'd you get started making apparel?
So I started my T-shirt company it was February of 2020, and it was right when COVID was striking. So it was a perfect time to start a new business and convince people to spend money when no one knew what was going on in the world. So I started the T-shirt company, and about 2 weeks later, the entire world shut down. So, So
it's your fault, right? Is it?
Yeah, exactly. So, I'm the reason that everything happened, but at the same time, it gave me time to really focus all of my energy and all my time on the shirts. So in a way, it was one of the worst times that could have possibly happened, but it was also, at the same time, it was one of the best times for me to start the company because I had nothing but time and nothing to do. I had no sports to watch, and I had no bars to go to, and I had to pretty much just figure out what to do with my time, and that's when I started just designing the shirts. And it was just, I started with a handful of designs and a few shirts, and slowly just grew the company that way. And fast forward a few months, and suddenly the Rays are dominating, the Lightning are dominating. The Bucks are getting exciting again, and suddenly I added a few sports shirts to the line, and they just took off from there.
So, Matt, do you have like your own equipment? Do you outsource the work? Like, do you just do the designs and everything, or do you have like a small rented part of like a not a studio, but just a section in like a shirt making place or something? Like,
Yeah.
I'm very interested in the whole actual like manufacturing process of it, because I've done a little bit of it myself. I was kind of big into graphic design when I was a semi younger lad.
So the entire I handle every aspect of the business, from the website to the social media to the design to the creation to the shipping. So I am truly a one man operation, and I have I've transformed the second bedroom at my house into my entire studio and shop. So every element goes on. It takes place inside the second bedroom. So it's all done in house, and every shirt is made to order. And I really pride myself on being able to kind of create unique shirts that can be sent to the customer within 2 or 3 days.
That's that's commendable of you. You see a lot of these random shirt makers. They just send a design, put it on a blank template to a Redbubble or something. So it feels a lot better, giving my money to somebody who does it all in-house by themselves. Just an absolute local Tampa Bay person. So I really commend that of yourself.
Thank you. Yeah, I consider myself somewhat of a perfectionist. So if you're gonna give me your hard-earned money, I'm not gonna trust some company that's just cranking out shirts to get you the proper quality, or the proper shirts. And I've gone through many different blank shirts, and I really found a really high quality, really soft shirt that I wanted to use. And I personally wear every shirt that I make. So I want them to be durable, and I want them to be comfortable to wear, because I don't want to have to keep making shirts for my own self. And if you're giving me your money, I want you to have a shirt that's not going to shrink after the first wash, or it's not going to rip on you after 2 or 3 wears at the bar.
Well, dude, I'm going to tell you, man, it feels good when you see someone wearing your design and you don't know who that person is, They saw it, they liked it, they purchased it, and they're a good, a happy customer. Is there an instance, or maybe either I've even seen some players wearing your designs. What's some of the coolest things that you've been a part of, seeing other people wear your stuff?
Yeah, so I want to say the top 2 coolest moments for me have been regarding the Lightning. There was when the Lightning were playing the Bruins, and I want to say it was the first Cup run. Yanni Gourde got smoked from behind, and it was a possible concussion, so he had to kind of go out of the game and go into protocol. And he came back in the third period and just absolutely dominated the rest of the game. Post-game, the Boston coach was saying how clever of a player he was. So I created this shirt that just said, clever, with the ER was a 37. And I just created it just because I was like, Yanni's my boy. I'm going to create a shirt. I'm probably going to be the one that likes it, that gets it, and I'm going to wear it. And next thing you know, I get an email from his wife. And she goes, I absolutely need that shirt. I absolutely need to get one for Yanni. Please send me one, and here's the address, and just tell me whatever I owe you, I'll take care of it. And that was kind of the beginning of a pretty cool friendship, I would call it, between the Gourds and myself. And over the next couple seasons, there's a few shirts that were made specifically for him, or with with input from him or his wife. That was a pretty cool moment. And then that from the Yanni Gord led to making the shirts for McDonough and Pat Maroon that they wore in the second boat parade. They kind of found me through Yanni, and we came up with a design with the back-to-back cup champs on the back, and they're all about America, so they wanted a shirt that talked about the World War II and World War I champions, so they tied the war to the hockey, and it was a design they wanted. They loved it, and it was cool just seeing, my shirt going down the river walk with the Stanley Cup hoisted above their head. And
That's incredible.
I think on a more local level, there's been a few times where I've walked in some of the random bars or some of the different arenas and just seen my shirt walking towards me or away from me, and I just went up to the person and just said thank you. I said, I made your shirt, and they looked at me like I had 4 eyes on my face, but once I explained to them who I was and what I did, and I could understand how it'd be kind of creepy saying thank you for wearing my shirt, and they kind of look at me, but it was a cool moment where you go, wow, like this is more than just I'm more than just a dude that makes shirts. People love to wear the shirts, and it's been awesome just getting the response from the local fans and just seeing the shirts out in the public.
Well, I guess my last question that I've got is, I love your recent one, the Tampa Bay injuries with the crutches and stuff. It's hilarious, man. It's a bit cheeky, and we do that from time to time with our own stuff. So, what's some of your 1771 Hall of Fame, I guess?
I would say the number one bullshit shirts with Cooch has got to be up there. That's for any t-shirt company that's local, that's got to be a top one. The Rays run, and during the COVID season, they had Margot had an iconic kind of catch flying over the railing, and then Kevin Cash had the stable full of horses. Those two really, I want to say, took me from just a local guy who makes shirts to people actually searching me out.
Beautiful.
It was. I would say the more local and more diehard fan shirts are, I think, what people appreciate and respect. The shirts that only if you truly are a fan of the Tampa Bay teams you'll understand. And if you don't, then I'm not the company for you, but I truly try to design for the fan that is a diehard fan and not just a casual fan. And I think people appreciate and respect, the crutches. I think if you understand the season that the Rays have had, you'll understand the shirt. If you're just a casual fan who's going to the Trop for the first time ever, you won't really understand what the shirt means.
Man, I've only got one more question. So, again, I'm fairly new to you. I had to have Eureka introduce me to you. Unfortunately, after this, I think I'm gonna drop a couple hundred or something. Maybe not that much, but I'll definitely grab a couple. But when I'm searching through the site, I see you've got a whole boating and fishing apparel. I'm sorry to stray away from the
No, you're good.
the sports talk or anything, but I consider myself quite the angler and maritimer myself. Do you are you one yourself?
Yeah. So I do. Shocking, I do more than just sports shirts. I'm proud to show off the entire Tampa Bay area. And I originally started the t-shirt company just because I was tired of wearing shirts from New York, LA, and all these other cities that I don't live in, and they're all the graphic shirts are kind of all featured around there, which makes sense. But at the same time, I really don't have a connection to those. So that's how I started the company. And then I joined a boat club at the beginning of this year, and I started looking at those sun shirts, the SPF 50 shirts, and realized how ungodly expensive they really are. Mm-hmm. And that's when I added them to my own line, because I just can't, in good faith and good conscience, charge somebody $65 for a shirt that's probably half that price. So that's when I started the own line, and it's a very similar material to most of the the big companies out there that do have the solar resistant or the sun resistant and the fishing shirts and the dry fit material. So yeah, I started boating in January, and I've got bit by the bug, and suddenly I found myself needing shirts, and I started creating a few and adding it to the line, and now I think I have 7 or 8 designs with the long sleeves and some with the hoods, and so they are functional, and they're shirts that I've tested and made sure that they do in fact work, and they're comfortable, and they don't sweat too much, they don't smell, and it's a really comfortable feeling shirt.
Yeah. Despite Eureka always trying to get me on a Monday or Tuesday, it seems like I'm always out on the water or something. So again, what? Go ahead.
What a tough life you have,
I know, right? But that must suck. So, and you know what? You're exactly right. Say, you said $65. I think that's a very conservative estimate for what these kind of shirts do cost. I mean, they're $95.
Jeez.
It's insane. So again, I'd much rather support you, especially for my leisurely activities and even at work as well. So it's great you got that as well. So yeah, really, that's all I got.
Yeah, well, Matt, I was going to say, man, I wanted to give you some shine because this ended up being a really good commercial for you. But the reality is that I think we got some chance to get to know you a little bit more, get your background as a fan, and then so that because sometimes there's so many people that are just putting out T-shirts, with no soul behind them, and I thought it was very, very interesting to hear your background, hear your reasoning for a lot of this, and so the one thing that we haven't done is Matt, if you could tell people how someone finds your shirts, how do we purchase one?
Yeah, so all of my shirts are available on 1771designs.com. That's the easiest way to order the shirts, and I keep it fairly updated. So if you check back every 2-3 days, you're going to see new designs. And I really try my best to, if you order a shirt within 2-3 days, it's in the mail and getting shipped to you, because there's nothing I hate more than when you order a shirt you really want and they're telling you it's going to be 15, 18, 21 days before it arrives. And, by the time it comes in the mail, either the moment passed or the excitement isn't there anymore. So I try to really get the shirts out to you as fast as possible.
I love it, man. I thank you for joining us. Thank you for letting us pester you with all these questions. But I think we got into a little bit of your insight and your background. So, Matt, Mr. Gannon, was there anything you wanted to say before we wrap this thing up?
Not necessarily. I just wanted to tell you, Matt, that you've at least earned one more customer from doing this. So
Let's go.
Well, thank you.
Yeah, man.
Yeah, and I think the biggest thing for me is, yes, it's a business and I want to sell as many shirts as possible, but at the same time, it's as much of a love and a passion for me. So if I sell the shirts, it's amazing. But I will always continue to make the shirts. So for me, it's as much a business as it is a love, and I enjoy creating the designs, and just seeing the response from people has been probably the coolest part for me.
I love it. Well, thank you for being here, Mr. Gannon. Thank you for joining us, and for everyone listening to this, thank you. You're truly the reason we do all this. So again, I will beg you to, wherever you're listening to this, if you're on Google Podcasts, Apple Podcasts, Spotify, YouTube, you name it, hit that little like button, hit that subscribe button, so that you can get all of this amazing content. We're going out and getting special guests. We're breaking down all the news, notes, and all the X's and O's for all of our Tampa Bay sports teams. So for Matt Gannon, for Matt Shapiro, my name is Eureka Wheeler. Thank you again. Give us a follow at RBLR Sports, and have a wonderful night.
Thank you for tuning into this presentation by RBLR Sports. On your way out of the stadium, please remember to like and subscribe.